Hello and welcome back to the Simplifiers podcast, where we take topics in business and in life and simplify them. And friends, I am so happy to say the daffodils are starting to sprout up where I live here in England, which means that winter, oh my goodness, is almost over. Well, okay, so it's not really over because in England, it could still snow in April. But, this means that a cycle is happening and things are changing and you might be coming out of a creative hibernation. And I want to talk about that. So I have brought back a beloved friend and coach who has been on the podcast in the past that I think is the perfect person to simplify this topic. Her name, of course, is Carrie Contey. She is a Ph.D. and she's an internationally recognized coach, author, speaker, and educator. Her work offers a new perspective on human development, parenting, and family life. She guides, supports, and inspires her clients to live with wide open, courageous heart. Now, you've probably seen her on the Today Show, Time Magazine, Parenting, the Boston Globe, lots of different places, and I'm just so delighted to have you back here on the podcast. So I'd like to welcome to the Simplifiers podcast, once again, Carrie Contey. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Mary. It's good to see you.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see you as well. Like these conversations are the very best when our people that are in my, what I call inner squad. And you, my friend, are certainly in my inner squad. And I realize that I've known you, probably over 10 years now. When life changes, when our businesses change and we pivot and things happen to us, like, how in the world do we tackle the uncertainty of life sometimes? Like, how do you tackle it?
Well, first is just acknowledging that that's what life is, that there's no prescription for it and we can't predict it. All we can really do is meet the moments. And what I love to do is really have practices in place that allow me to stay connected to myself. So whether I'm feeling like things are just flowing and I feel really good about things and I'm just kind of in alignment, or if I'm, in the midst of transition, which can often feel wobbly and unsteady, it's kind of like the same practices hold.
Yeah. And, I have heard many people say over time, like the only thing that is certain in life is change. And for me, I don't know about it as for you, it rubs me the wrong way. Yes, change is a constant in life, but I actually like to look at it as like, hang on, I'm a constant in my life and change just happens to happen to me. Yeah. What do you think about that?
I think that's brilliant. I love that. We are what we are. Yeah. And we're what I like to call the big beings in the little bodies. Yeah. Whether it's a child person or an adult person, we're consciousness, we're divinity, and we're in this physical experience. And the way that we're perceiving is really what we get to move around in. And that's what I'm excited about right now, is this idea that no matter what is happening right now, the way I bring my perceptors, the view I have of it, whether I'm super close up and feeling dysregulated by it, or I pull from the airplane view and go, wow, that's a fun life to be living.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all perspective, really.
It really is. And I think about your own story, and I'd love for you to share bits and pieces with the people that are listening. You've had some crazy ups and downs in the last 5 to 10 years. One of the things that pops to my mind is you had gotten this beautiful house in the hill country. Beautiful house. And then what happened?
The roof blew off.
Like literally the roof blew off of your house. Can you tell us that story and recount that?
Let me tell you, I think it's fun to start a little before that. So that happened in May of 2015. Yeah. In August of 2014, just because it was something that I had been playing with, I decided I want to get committed to an appreciation practice. And so for 9 months, I was doing about 100 appreciations a day. That was like my yoga. That was how I was keeping myself clear. And what it was not only doing was keeping me enjoying and appreciating my actual life, but it was helping me clarify what I really loved and what I loved about my life and what I wanted more of. And I called it essentializing. And so I didn't know where that was going to go, but fast forward, it's May of 2015, which can be kind of a rainy time in Texas.
Yeah.
And it was, I remember that happened right at the end of May. So the middle of May, I remember reading something about people who lived nomadically and, this movement of people who were like working and living without location independent.
Right.
And I remember texting a friend and saying, I think I'm moving in that direction. I'd really love to, get rid of my house, get rid of all my stuff and moving about.
Oh my gosh.
And to the point where on this Saturday, so that was like a Thursday. And then the next Saturday, I was like, let me just go look at cars. What kind of car would I want to have if I just traveled and didn't have a place that I lived? Again, no reason to be doing this other than I was just feeling like that was kind of a fun avenue to explore.
Yeah.
Cut to that evening, a Saturday, and it had been raining for a few days at this point. My good friend Bernadette, who was with me out at my house, and it was really stormy. And my whole house was basically a glass wall.
Yeah.
And it sat up high on a hill. And the whole time I had lived there, about a year and a half, it was a little ferocious when it was raining because you were right in it. It wasn't, you were exposed. So we were watching it and she took a nap and then she woke up and she's like, I think we need to get away from the windows. This is getting really bad. And we went into the bathroom just very because that was what we felt like we needed to do.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we hear this noise, literally like a train had hit the house. It was so crazy. And we still didn't know what happened. We thought a window had broken, but all of a sudden there was just water kind of pouring in around us.
Oh my God.
And so we called the fire department and, we're sitting there for 20 minutes. Still, it was pitch black at this point. So the power was out. It was dark. We didn't know what had happened. And these guys get here, they come up the steps because we were on the second floor and they shine the flashlight and it was a flat roof on this modern house. And the roof had like an overhang, like a little bit, like 3 feet. And what had happened, whether it was a tornado or just a really extreme wind, the wind had picked it up and moved the flat roof over to be hanging, like cantilevering off the other part of the house. And so the roof blew off and it was like, okay, here we go.
Right.
So for the next year, about 85% of my things were ruined and hauled away. I had to leave the house. It was not inhabitable. My insurance paid for the house to get redone, for me to be living and traveling and exploring this nomadic life that I had said I wanted. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
And that was so then the house got done. I had a year. I traveled. I went all over the place. It was phenomenal. I got to redo a house, which was really fun. And then I got back there and I was there about 9 months and I was like, I don't think I want this anymore. Yeah. And so I sold it. I paid off all my debts. And since then, which has almost been 3 years now, I've been living and moving about and just sort of following inspiration. And right now I'm in Colorado. I've been able to be with my mom when my dad passed away 2.5 years ago. I've been in Maine. I've been to Europe. I'm just kind of following my bliss, for lack of a better word. And it's remarkable because it really has allowed me to try on ways of being that most humans don't get to do.
It's crazy, insane, incredible, the story. And I will make sure to put a photo in the show notes for people to actually see the photo of you in your house without a roof. It is just to put a visual element to how big this really was. I mean, that's big change, right? Big, massive
Giant,
life change.
monumental.
And also there's tiny changes that happen, little nudges in life that do shift your foundation and lead you down a path. But I wonder, do you feel that was sort of a universal download of like the universe saying, okay, you want to go this way? Well, here we go.
Totally. Yeah. There were no accidents. And I knew that almost as it was happening. I mean, I felt the emotion of the fear of the experience.
Yeah.
But within 24 hours, I've studied body mind psychology, and I have a good foundation of people to support me. So once I cleared out the wobble of emotion that came just as a result of going through something very intense, it was like full steam ahead. And I was like embracing this thing that I had said I wanted. I mean, it would have been almost silly if I had been like, oh no, my house, after asking for it to that to happen. I mean, I really saw it as like a big, like, oh, okay. Like there's something to this. This is not just, it's a good thing to appreciate, or it's a good thing to set intentions, or it's a good thing to put your wishes out there. It was like, okay, I am being led, and I now will just surrender and see where that takes me. And that's been the process since then. Yeah. I mean, it's probably been the process our whole lives, but I feel like I listen differently because of that experience, and I act differently.
Well, and I mean, I think that's it. It's when big changes happened in my life, big and small. I think the times where I took a step back, zoomed out and go, okay, what's the big picture here? And not freaking out in the whirlwind of like the tornado, literally, of the moment. Then you have perspective. Then you don't get sucked into the triggers, the anxieties, the everything of like, woe is me. Why did this happen to me?
Exactly.
That seems to help. And, let's be real. There are good days when you can be like that. And there are certainly bad days where if you're not taking care of yourself, body, mind, and spirit, it can feel like, why is the world doing this to me kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So it sounds like perspective is huge, and going with the flow of sort of where the universe is either blowing the roof off of your house and saying, okay, let's go, or, gently nudging you towards something. What were some other lessons learned in that?
Well, one was just the power of appreciating. I had been doing that practice from August almost every day, not every day, but almost every day for almost 9 months.
Yeah. And let's pause there real quick, because what you're saying there is such a huge thing. And you're just like, oh yeah, I just did this thing every day. Like, no, she wrote 100 appreciations down per day. Like, imagine that practice. And I just think that's so brilliant and also very inspiring, because what you are literally doing is creating new neural pathways in your brain to appreciate the good in your life and the kind people in your life. And so that you can be in a place of healthy mind, body, spirit, to even have the perspective. That's
and just to be clear, it's not like I'm thinking of 100 new things a day. It's more about spending, 10 or 15 minutes. It's kind of like a meditation.
Yeah.
I do it on my computer. I have a doc, and I just type, and sometimes I'll say, if I'm like really tired and I haven't done it and I'm like, nope, you committed, do it. Yeah. I'll just type love 100 times, and I'll imagine 100 experiences of like seeing someone, like people I love, and thinking of people I love. And it's literally just to create a vibrational state in my being. Yeah. That's what it is. It's not to say, oh, I have this giant list. It's in the moment, like, oh, I have a tool that I know allows me to feel really good about my existence here and now. I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And it's just a way to really get my thoughts in the direction of what works. And then what I find, and what I find over time, is it becomes more about emotions. Like, I'm appreciating the ease. I'm appreciating the freedom. I'm appreciating the abundance. And so it's juicing the states that I would like to be feeling more and more and more, to the point where I don't really feel a lot of like the dips as much as I used to. Yeah. I'm much more like, oh yeah, I got this. Even though there are ups and downs, there's a certain steadiness that I can access in myself. And again, it doesn't mean there's never turbulence, because that's how we change and that's how we grow. But I have a way to really stay with myself and be reminded of the way life is flowing in a beautiful way.
And that, I think, circles back to what we talked about at the top of the call of like, when you focus on change is the only constant, then you're focusing on the negative thing that's happened to you, if the change is in fact negative. But then if you focus on the you is constant, then that bleeds into what you're talking about. You're focusing on the 100 gratitudes, the 100 appreciations in your life, and change happens, good and bad.
Yeah,
all of it.
Totally.
So,
always.
When you were going through the process of your father passing, and so many of us are in that season of our life. I'm in that season myself. My mother is 78 years old. She has just gone through incredible feats of surviving a spinal surgery that went sideways, if I'm honest. There a lot of us are there. And what advice would you give to people that are listening that are caring for aging parents and navigating that kind of change?
Well, I mean, it's gotten so simple, for lack of a better word. That's a great word. And whether it's like the depths of grief, like a parent dying, or the heights of success, like you writing a book and or something like that. It's like whether I'm in the like really deep dark of life or the exaltation of life, the same actual things apply. Like what I've come to know is it's my essentials. It's my daily practices that are the things that allow me to flow with what is. Yeah. So appreciations, I'm back to it. I'm on day 90 of every day because it's just what I need to do for me. Yeah. It's getting outside and moving around and walking in nature. And it's meditation. And I also do a lot of journaling. But those three are what I call my essentials. I have a friend, he calls them his necessaries. And to me, whether I'm staying with my mom for weeks at a time and noticing myself getting frustrated, or I'm in Colorado and I'm skiing on a mountain, either way, I still need to be fortifying me with my essentials, because the way I show up to the experiences has everything to do with how I'm caring for myself, not anything about what they're doing or not doing.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think when I hear you talk about that, and I've seen it also in your social media feeds, I see it emanates from you. I think that you realize that self-care isn't just a pedicure. It isn't a Band-Aid that you're putting on to your very busy life. Self-care is a restorative practice that is so much deeper on a daily basis, and that it is so critically important. You've heard it before, self-care isn't selfish, but really this is like the direct dial in of like how incredibly important it is, because I imagine with my own self-care practice, and it is on the daily, when I take good care of myself, I show up way better for everybody else. That's something you've taught me, Carrie. I'm a way better parent. I'm a way better spouse. I'm a way better friend. I'm a way better daughter. All the things.
Everything.
All of it. Yeah.
Yeah, all of it. I mean, it's so simple. It's so essential. And what I'll say is it's personal. Yeah. So what's essential for me is different than what's essential for you. Yep. And what's essential for and what's essential for me in this phase of my life might be very different in another phase. When you had little baby people, that type of self-care was probably different. What you could access for yourself was different now with middle grade people. And it's like it evolves and it changes. And so that's something that I really love to remind people, is that it's not, well, just do yoga, because that might not be your thing. Yeah. You have to discover. It's a self-discovery process, and it's checking in regularly and saying, is this still it? Do I need to shift it? Is it something else? Yeah. Is it more creative now? Is it more spiritual? Is it more physical? What is it that nourishes me, mind, body, soul, so that I have access to this deeper knowing of my being? It's like this part of us, not the best thing to let run the show.
The brain.
This is better. Yeah. The brain, our thoughts are tricky.
Yeah.
They're old. There's a lot of history to them. They're not very fresh all the time.
Yeah.
Our heart can get a little, our heart is the best and it's really allows us to feel, but it isn't the thing that we need to be hearing as the guide. The guide is really that gut soul, in my opinion, and that place of knowing. And that's the work that I'm really moving toward, both personally and professionally, is enough with the information. Let's start getting ourselves deeper and trusting that knowing. And that has to be done with space and with practices that bring us back.
And, I love hearing that coming from you because I hear it from other people and it's starting to become a conscious awakening, I think, in this day and age. I remember I saw Liz Gilbert speak, the author of Big Magic. And, she also talked about this concept of oneness. And, regardless of what your religious and spiritual beliefs are, honestly, I think that we all are part of a greater oneness and a collective, if you will, without you could put a label on it in any religion, in my opinion. It doesn't matter, whatever you want to call it. But I think there really is that. So talking about kind of reemerging after a period of hibernation, it certainly seems like, and you tell me, that going from having a house to having a house without a roof to having moving to digital or traveling as a nomad, and then, of course, your father's passing. This is a life or a season that has taken you somewhere maybe you weren't expecting. And, then there's this process of coming back out in the world or re-emerging. How do you find alignment in this process?
Luckily, I'm just fortunate enough to have a life that allows me to have a lot of time to be like checking in. And I'm more than ever, I'm just much more day to day, moment to moment. And my house, that was April of 2017. I was off and running.
Yeah.
I thought this fall, okay, time to get back to work. Like, you've had your fun. And as the winter kind of showed itself and I was getting ready, like, do I do a program? Do I offer this? Am I doing coaching? Like, when I really started thinking about what I was going to do with myself and how I was going to be in service to the humans, because that's one of the things I feel drawn to do. There was a voice that came from within that just said, just slow down. Yeah. It'll come, but you need to get out of the way and not think you have to make it happen. You have to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
So my words for this year are align, allow, and appreciate. And that's kind of what I'm doing all day, every day, is really doing my practices. So I'm feeling aligned with myself.
Yeah.
Allowing more, not trying to control, not trying to, setting intentions. Those are my intentions.
Yeah.
And then noticing, oh, look at that just came. Oh, somebody called to ask if I wanted to give a talk. Oh, I get to talk to Mary today. Mm-hmm. Allowing life to be more present moment, and then being almost a little radical with my appreciating and making sure that I'm really looking at the feedback loop. And I changed the doc to say appreciations and celebrations, because that even feels one level higher. It's like, what am I celebrating? That's one of my big messages these days is most of the things that are happening right now were dreams at one, not even close dreams, but far off dreams.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to be, I just saw my writing from 2015. You were probably at that workshop. I do a yearly clarity workshop. And 2015, I had on my list skiing in Colorado, and I was not skiing in Colorado then. And over these last 5 years, life has unfolded to the point where I'm not just skiing, I'm living in Colorado, 20 minutes from Breckenridge, and I can pop myself in the car, drive over, ski for a couple of hours, and come back home. That's a dream come true. If I were to just blow by that and go, but wait, the other thing hasn't happened, I'm missing the boat on this beautiful feedback loop that allows for a lot of steadiness through life.
Yeah. And what I hear in that, is when you are very clear on your intention and you are writing it down. Sometimes I think a lot of times we'll let it swirl in our head, but the process of actually writing it down and then putting it somewhere where you can physically see it and be reminded of it every day, it helps you kind of come back to center. I call it kind of my goldfish brain. 8 seconds later, I'm over here like bloop, bloop.
Yep.
Like forgetting what's going on. But like you have to like come back to center and go, oh yeah, actually this is my intention for the year. And that's why it's so powerful to have those one word intentions and really focusing in on what it is you want to create so that you are in the right mindset, the right space to make it happen. Because I think about it this way, Carrie, and I'm curious if you do as well. I feel like there is, without sounding too crunchy granola woo-woo here, but I feel like there is a higher power. The universe is kind of working and weaving some magic and putting people in the right places at the right time so that opportunities can happen. Like I believe that is true. Yeah. And equally, I believe it's a dance, that the universe and I are in this dance together where I have to just be willing to take the next step. And then the next step after that. And then the next step after that.
Exactly.
Like it's not about sitting back and just, waiting, but it's letting the universe do its magic and also being willing to move, right?
Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah. And literally, whether it's just deciding to move, like physically move, like be on walks and appreciating nature, or like setting out some bigger, saying I'm making this big life change. I'm going to take this leap. I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, again, it doesn't surprise me, but that's exactly what I've been playing with, exploring, dialing into. And, the book that I'll mention that I'm loving right now, in a minute is really helping me understand that there's the human perspective where we really think like we are controlling this scenario, but then there's this other spiritual perspective. And if we allow ourselves to know that we are of that and we listen for the cues and we start to, practice that level of awareness, and it needs to be known and practiced, there's a different reality that shows itself. Yeah. And I know that sounds a little like, what? Like that, even I'm still wrapping my head around it, but I mean, it feels right. It's what's showing up in the midst of doing all these things that allow me to take better care of myself. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's see where this experiment goes. Because that's all we're doing is we're experimenting. We're here to learn.
Yep.
We're here to perceive, and we can dial, we can see any situation. Mm-hmm. There's what we think this is maybe horrible. But I have a process that I call the love ladder, and it's basically how you walk yourself from fear to love.
Yeah.
And really what it isn't about what you're writing. It's not like it, but it's allowing you to see that there are other ways of perceiving what is right now.
Yeah.
And the more we move toward that love, the brighter and the more kind of exciting and sparkly we feel. Doesn't mean life changes. It means we're just choosing to put ourselves in a different state.
Right.
And by putting ourselves in that state, as you've heard me say a million times, and I got it from Lynn Twist, what we appreciate appreciates. Yeah. And so the more I can look for the things that I want more of and say, yes, thank you, yes, thank you, yes, thank you, the more I get more of that. And that is, and again, that has to be lived. That can't just be sort of theoretical. I had to live that.
Well, and I think that's the bottom line, because the flip side, which we have all fallen into the trap, is we get sucked into the bogged down by the heaviness of life. I remember when I had littles, you're just like, you're barely just trying to keep everybody alive. That's and right. Everybody having clean bottoms, and, everybody's fed, right? Yeah. Literally, right?
Yeah.
And your relationship with your phone also doesn't really help, because it's fed into this comparison trap of seeing everybody else's highlights reel on Instagram and Facebook, and you're feeling like not enoughness. And so then it just, for me, I want to run faster. I want to run, and strive, and chase after this magical, imaginary ideal. And, I think that it's a trap, bottom line. And so what happens on the worst case scenario, and the reason I can speak so clearly about it, because I've seen myself, I've been there, I've done it, is you get sucked into heavy depression or anxiety or wanting to numb with food or sugar or alcohol or whatever, or Netflix. And, life is literally passing you by. And I think it feeds, when you go down the other side, it feeds into that same spiral of, why is the world doing this to me? Why am I not getting anywhere further? Numb, just to not feel the pain. And so it's beautiful. You're a great example for me, and certainly a role model in my life of seeing somebody that's going, nope, I'm not going to fall down that trap. And not to say that you're living a perfect life. I'm sure you have bad days where you spiral, right? Because you're human.
Yeah, totally.
But you're saying to the world and saying to me, like, hey, guess what? It could be different. Even if you have 4 kids at home, even if you are running a business, even if you are single and not married, even if whatever your story is, you can actually live a life that brings you joy and pleasure, and actually a place where you can serve others as well, right?
Well, yes, that's it. And that's part of my bigger message is, my life is my life. The way I'm living is so uniquely me. And I had to dial that in. And so I'm not preaching a lifestyle. I'm not saying to people, get rid of all your stuff. I'm saying find the things that bring you a feeling of joy and a feeling of alignment and a feeling of appreciation and a feeling of like, I call it like yumminess. Like what brings the yumminess for you, and recognize that that's not something that is just for certain people. Like everybody gets to have it, but it needs to be done inward. It's not something you're going to get by looking at Instagram and going, oh, I think I want that and I want that. It's like, you got to get quiet, and you got to have a little time inside, and you got to have a little more rest, and you've got to have a little more of a sense of like, I can have peace. I can have ease. Like you have to believe it before it shows up, or at least that's my experience. Like it isn't like out there. We can't let it always be out there. We have to find the feeling here and now. And the more we do that, and the more we see that life doesn't fall, before I was living nomadically, I had to take 3 weeks one summer and go, can I leave Austin and not be here and not, my life doesn't fall apart? Oh, 3 weeks worked. Great. Oh, let me do 6 weeks. Oh, that worked. Oh, next summer, let me do 3 months. It's like I had to baby steps. So I call it, have macro dreams and dream big, but then find your micro steps that you can do that are going to keep you in alignment with yourself and allow for those new realities to start showing themselves.
Yeah. And again, it sounds like the lesson really is, if you are in a state of hibernation or change or flux where maybe you were going for a long time, and then all of a sudden everything came to a screeching halt because you had to take care of your parents or something else happened in your life.
Right.
To have that stillness in that moment, and to have that check-in with you on the constant, to nourish yourself so that you have the direct dial into the oneness of saying, okay, well what is next, and all that.
Yeah. And then letting it breathe and letting it have a little space, and not panicking and thinking, oh, I'm reemerging, I have to get back into the doing and go. And really and go. It's like, well, what if I'm just being? Again, it's a little freaky and it's a little edgy, but it's like, I think I'm going to go for it. And allowing the reemergence to be a little unknown, a little bit new, and not just a recycling of what we think.
Which makes me chuckle out loud, Carrie, because I'm going to put the link in the show notes. But, your TEDx Austin talk in 2010 was about do versus be. Here we are 10 years later, and the stuff is coming up again.
Same message.
Right?
Yep.
And
totally.
Gosh, we are all human. We all need to hear it a few thousand times to go, oh yeah, actually, that's so important, right? Being as much as doing.
Yeah. And like letting, again, I think it comes down, I think the thing I didn't talk about, but, and I don't even know if the word conveys it, but there's an element of like faith and this idea that we've been led to believe that you got to grind, you got to do, you got to be, you have to be on, you have to like produce, market,
Yeah.
When the experiment that I'm doing, again, it's an experiment. I'm not saying everybody should do it. I'm doing it. Is that when I am in that pause, when I really, and sometimes it's longer than I think it should be, but when I trust that pause, the inspiration that kind of bubbles up, and the knowing, and the little voices that go, okay, go in that direction.
Yeah.
Like the more I can trust that and not think that I have to think my way into it, but I can feel and know my way into it, that's when everything just starts to feel like it's like running on a different level. It's like if life was over here, it's almost like the difference between like driving a car and like a whole new craft. Like it's like a hovercraft that can reality hop. Like that's the feeling of how different life is starting to feel.
Yeah. And, I can imagine there's somebody somewhere listening to this right now, and their little fear bubble is popping up and going, well, hang on. What if I need to pay my bills? What if I need to do that? I can't just stop. Like, what do you say to that person?
I say, just let it be its own experiment. And like, again, it's like more time with yourself. Like find one or two things that you feel like you want to do, even in the midst of a busy, hectic life. Yeah. Like give yourself 5 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds, 10 minutes, and like do something that you either know already really fortifies you and delights you as a human, or just get on the path of starting to explore that. Maybe you don't even know. I've had plenty of people tell me that, and that's okay. It's okay not to know. And all you need to think is, okay, well, I don't know. So is there something creative or artistic? Yeah. Oh, I like painting. Oh, okay. Get a thing of watercolors, stick it on the kitchen counter, cut up papers 4x4 so you're not looking at a canvas, and just start messing around with color once in a while. Maybe it's exercise. Oh, I really like Pilates. Try Pilates. Oh, no, that wasn't it. Oh, I really just like walking. Like, believe me, there's a part of me that thinks you should be running and working out and doing weights. And I'm like, no, I just like walking. And if I can get a 10-minute walk, I'm great. And if I can get a 5-hour walk, I'm great. I just love walking. And that's where my alignment seems to come. And I'm either on the walk or I come inside and I have all these ideas. So I consider that where I work. I'm just like, that's part of how I work. I have to be in motion in nature for my wisdom to be known.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're somebody who sits in front of a laptop or a computer for 8-9 hours a day, I really encourage you to take a break and even just a 5 or 10 minute walk around the block. It really does incredible things for your brain. And that's where I have some of my very best ideas as well. So you talk about the 4 pillars of navigating change as like clarify, steady, appreciate, and then intend. Can you give us a little bit of a thought on that?
I think it's really, those are just good essentials, for lack of a better word, good pillars to keep in mind that, again, it's all about tapping into that knowing. So when we sit down and we ask ourselves even the simple question, either how am I feeling or I do a practice, what am I thinking? Yeah. What am I feeling? What am I knowing? Yeah. And the reason for that is because I want to let the swirl have its voice. Usually it's what do I need to get done today? What am I feeling about, what am I thinking about that situation over there? Then I want to know what my heart is thinking. And that feels like a little bit of like a bridge from thinking to knowing. Yep. Oh, I'm feeling anxious. Oh, okay. Name it to tame it. Dan Siegel says that the minute we acknowledge what we're experiencing on an emotional state, it shifts. Yeah. So giving myself, especially when I'm feeling a little out of sorts, instead of just swirling, dropping in and going, oh, you're just anxious, period. Not even about X, Y, Z. It's like, oh, I'm a human having a physical experience of emotion. Yeah. Okay, that's just what it is. It's weather. It's no different than a storm blowing in. And then I go down and I do my knowing. And what I'm learning from this book that I'm going to share is that when you're in your knowing, when you're really with your higher self, there's no fear and there's no questions. That's thinking. The knowing is just in the moment, got it. clarity.
Yeah.
The intentions is, I love this comment that a teacher in grad school made years ago, probably 20 years now. Energy follows intention. And so whether we're being conscious about it and saying, I choose ease, I choose love, I choose to, when I think about an experience I'm about to have, whether it's the Today Show or going home to hang out with my mom, I'm thoughtful about, well, how do I want to show up? Oh, I want to feel like I'm present. I want to feel open. I want to feel delighted. Oh, okay, great. Those are my intentions.
Yeah.
Then, so we've got clarity, intentions, appreciation.
Yeah.
We kind of covered that just in the sense of like what you appreciate appreciates. So give that more energy, more energy, more energy.
And then steady.
And then steady.
Yeah.
And that's really this concept that I'm working on more and more of our ability to handle life as it's coming at us. Yeah. Like I call it handleability. And recognizing, and I see it as a sign of maturing, developing as a human, is that a lot of times we default to how we handled things or how the people around us handled things, thinking, well, I have to get freaky when this is happening. And it's like, wait a minute. Yeah. No, I don't actually. I have some choices. So how would I like to move through this change? And learning how to steady ourselves. But here's the thing, Mary, and you know this, it isn't wait till things get wobbly and then steady. It's invest. And then when things get wobbly, you catch it quicker and you use your tools to steady and then you move through.
Yeah.
So it's not just like, I never care for myself and then a bad thing happens and now I have to learn it. That's why I'm so weirdly diligent about the day to day, because to me, I have to put money in the bank account for when I need to take a withdrawal so that I don't feel like I'm underwater as quickly.
And it makes sense. I mean, when my heart is expanded, I think about that in a visual way. If you're watching the video version of this episode, when my heart is expanded, my body language changes. And I dare say that people see me and go, oh, wow, there's something different about her. I'm kind of curious. And, either literally or figuratively, they approach me with opportunities. Hey, Mary, would you like to collaborate on this project? Would you like to be on this podcast? Would you like to speak at this event? Would you like to But when our energy and our heart is closed off, our shoulders roll down, our heads are down to the ground, our chin is not up to the sunshine in the sky, we're also energetically telling the world that, don't talk to me. I'm a porcupine putting my prickles out and all of that.
Right. And it really, I'll just say as a last comment, to me, the way I make sense of what you're saying is, we're vibration. Yeah. We're vibrational beings. And when we're coherent, we're smooth. And that's something that is attractive on a vibrational level, that we want to be around coherence. We want to feel somebody's rhythm, somebody's song in a way that feels true and aligned and authentic to them. When we're all discombobulated, it's dissonant, and we don't want to go toward that. It's music. Like the way we hear music, we don't often want the dissonant music. We want the music that is very coherent and has a lot of predictability in the sense of tone to it.
And pleasing to the ear.
Exactly. And it's not about being a certain way. It's genuinely being you. Like learning your, and the person I'm going to share about, she talks about this idea of like learning that you have an instrument inside of you and learning how to play it is like a really nice way to think about it. That there's this song or this instrument that is our isness, as I like to call it. It's our essence. It's our little spark of the universe that's out here manifesting as a being in the world. Yeah. When we can know that and we can be in alignment with that, everything around us starts to look a little different. And then the people who show up and the ways that they're showing up start to change. And that's exciting.
Oh, it just makes me so excited. So where you're at right now, it sounds like you are reemerging from a hibernation season. What's next for you?
I think I'm on slow-mo. I think there's just more exploring this idea of being aligned and what it means to operate at this different level than just seeing the world, having a little bit of a perspective that's further out than just, I'm not looking at the news. I'm not engaged. I will cast my vote, but I am not engaging in politics. Like, I'm choosing to create my own world. Yeah. And it's really exciting. And so that's the reemergence. That's me coming back out as a different being and being really just open to being available to what shows up and seeing what does that bring. And here's you. And it's like, it just is working. So I'm like, okay, maybe it isn't a reemergence with something I'm offering. I'm offering me, and whatever shows up that is in need of this, I'm all in.
Yeah. Well, tell us more about your little whisper and an idea that I've heard you mention a couple of times in the past about a 7-year project. Yeah. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So that is definitely in the works. So I have this, so when you look from a very, a human development perspective, certain spiritual practices, there's a lot that we can point to that says that, every 7 years, there's 7-year cycles for humans. Yeah. And every 7 years, we're basically a new version of ourselves if we choose to be. Yeah. And so I'm in the midst of completing my 7th 7. I'm going to be 49 this summer, and starting my new 8th 7, which is hopefully maybe half of my life. And so I look back on the past 7 and I can see practicing these, clarity, intentions, appreciation, steadying. Yeah. I can see how all of that played a part in me feeling the way I feel now. And I was slightly conscious of it, but I'm thinking, well, what if I'm even more conscious of it for the next 7 years? And I'm tracking it a little differently. What can unfold? And so that's the excitement that I'm in right now, is just sort of, closing up the 7 7s, opening up a brand new one with all this knowledge and wisdom that I've now practiced, not just thought. I spent a lot of time in school. I have two master's degrees and a Ph.D. Like, I studied. Yeah. And now I've been living, and now I'm like, okay, well, now what happens? Now what happens when you've got the academics? I've watched tons of humans do their thing, and I've explored with them. Now, where can it go if I really practice these tools and skills that I've cultivated in myself? So it's so thrilling. And I don't even know what that looks like, but there will be some 7-year adventure that I go on. And I'm not sure how much I'll share, but I think I'll probably share a lot because it's going to be fun. Well, and I want people to be in it with me.
And I think it's exciting to hear that this is a new spark of an idea that isn't fully formed, it sounds like, yet, but that's the beauty of it. Totally. So if you are curious about Carrie and her work, she speaks at a lot of workshops and conferences all around the world. And so it's very likely that she will be in your neck of the woods at some point this year. So I highly recommend going to her website, carriecontey.com. The links are all in the show notes at thesimplifierspodcast.com. So you can check it out and see her in action and hear what's bubbling up to the surface, because I can say without a doubt, she doesn't pay me to say this, the things that Carrie has shared over the years with me has really fundamentally changed how I parent, how I relate to my loved ones. And so it's always exciting when I'm in your presence, Carrie. You have lots of good stuff.
This was so much fun. Love it. Love you. This is just perfect today. So thank you.
My pleasure. So I have a couple of questions I want to ask you that I ask everybody. So what's one book or blog that you're reading these days that really is inspiring you or poking holes and challenging your belief system? I think you touched on it a couple of times. What's the book?
Yeah. So the person's name is Paul Selig, Selig. And this particular book is called The Book of Knowing. And then the title is Realization.
Good.
And it's not for everybody. It's a channeled text. But I'm loving it. And I'm actually at the point where I'm like sitting down and transcribing it kind of as I go, so I can really hear the messages, because it's powerful. And I'm just really, it hit, and I'm going with it. And so if it resonates, great. And if it doesn't, let it go. But I love sharing because it really has been honestly a life changer.
Wow, that's a big statement there. And I've not heard of that book. So I'll put the link in the show notes for that one as well so people can check that out. So tell us, who's one person in your network you just feel is up to brilliant things that we could shine a spotlight on them? And who knows, maybe one day we'll have them on the podcast.
Yeah, so there's a woman, I only know her through Instagram. Her name is Jessamine Stanley, and she is a yoga teacher. And I am just really, I love how she's being herself. Like she's really, she's a bigger woman. And I think her story, I don't know it completely, but I think, she was intimidated by yoga. And then she found a teacher that just said, no, you have to do it for you and your body.
Yes.
And she started listening, and she has that way she talks about it of hearing her, that she had to learn her instrument, that it wasn't about doing it the way, the yogis do it. It was really about just getting on the mat and stretching your body and moving, no matter what you look like or what your size is or what your background is.
Love it.
And I love that so much because to me, well, A, it's just crazy inspiring and it makes me want to do more yoga. And B, it's just that message of you don't have to be a certain way to do you, just be you and go do it. And that's, it's kind of that same Lizzo vein of like, be you and be the youest you can be and let your song be heard. No apologies and no, dimming down because I don't look a certain way or I don't act a certain way. It's like, I'm me. Like, let's be us. And that is inspiring me to no end lately.
And then that is when we find that unstoppable power inside of us and then in our community is when we each can have that permission to actually show up as ourselves, exactly how we are in all of our dimples and imperfections and flaws.
Exactly.
Man, we are unstoppable.
Exactly.
And not just women, but all of us.
Everybody.
Every single one of us.
Everybody. And to like really, I love just that idea that we're moving into this way of thinking about humans that is more unique and everybody's in a way their own species. And we can stop saying, I'm not this, I'm not that, but just be like, I'm this.
Yep.
This feels aligned, not I'm this because this is what I think I should be. This is what I am.
Yeah.
And like, that message is just, and I want young people to get it. And I just want everybody to feel like you're here, you matter, you get to sing your song because you're here. Period. You're part of divinity. Like, how amazing is that?
Yeah. If you want to tap into more of Carrie, all of her social media links are going to be in the show notes as well. So make sure to check there as well. Carrie, I know you talked about your 100 appreciations, but I believe also gratitude and simplicity go hand in hand. What's just one thing you're grateful for right here and right now today?
This conversation, I know that's a little cliche, but I can't stop myself. This was exactly what I needed right today. And I will be writing it on my list today because just you sparked so much good stuff and I feel enlivened and it doesn't get any better than that. So thank you, Mary.
Keep doing the work. I feel that. Thank you so much. And keep doing it because I think you are up to brilliance here. Things are happening. It's exciting.
Too. Let's go.
Yes, let's go.
Let's keep sparkling it. I love it.
So my last question for you is this today. Someone somewhere is listening to this episode and she has been giggling with us. She might have even started to shed a tear when the hard stuff when talking about that. Maybe she's going through a season where she's realizing she's been hibernating for a really long time and she's ready to emerge, but it's super scary. What's one thing that you could just whisper into her ear right now to encourage her in this moment?
Oh, I love that. I think it's just hand to heart, like just go slow and don't abandon yourself. Stay true. Stay with yourself. Listen and remember there's no way to do it. There's no way to do humanhood. And if you're feeling like there is, then cut out the noise. Like be thoughtful about not only what you're consuming in food, but in ideas and in your ear holes and your eye holes and pause, take it slow and allow yourself to really be with your heart and your soul because it knows.
Yeah. Big love to you, as always. Big love.
Oh, so much love.
Thank you for your time today.
Thank you. I love you, Mary.
Love you too.